Okay, welcome back to Wednesday. So these are our practice sheets. So there's this page and there's another page. So on this page, part 1 is just going to be naming that law. So for example, if we read number 4, a motorcycle can reach a speed of 60 miles per hour, much faster than a minivan can. What would that be an example of? Would it be the first law of motion that states an object in motion will stay in motion and an object at rest will stay in rest unless a force acts on it? Would that be an example of the second law of motion, force equals mass times acceleration? Or would it be an example of our third law, which is every action has an equal and opposite reaction? So let's read it again. A motorcycle can reach a speed of 60 miles per hour much faster than a minivan can. So we're talking about the acceleration, right? From 0 to 60. So the acceleration from 0 to 60, that would definitely be the second law. Would definitely be the second law of motion, so I would just write second down there. Number 7, you run into your friend while ice skating and both of you fall in opposite directions. So that's that collision, right? Which law talks about collision and equal and opposite reactions? That would be the third law. So I will just write third by number 7. We can do one more. Let's do number 12 because that's a little bit different. An acorn falls from a tree and lands on the ground. So the acorn falls from the tree and lands on the ground. Is that going to be first, second, or third? If we're talking about the acorn falling from a tree and landing on the ground, what is drawing the acorn to the ground? Gravity, right? And gravity is a part of which law? Second. So you could either just choose to write down second, or you could be very specific and write down the law of universal gravitation. I would take either of those answers. And the bottom part, part 2, predict the motion, just has some questions, and you just think about answering that question. So we'll skip to number 17. According to Newton's second law of motion, which is force equals mass times acceleration, if you hit a ping pong ball and a tennis ball with a tennis racket, which one should have a greater acceleration? So mass times acceleration equals force. So which one do you think is going to move faster? Same force. Which one has a smaller mass? Which one has a larger mass? I would say that it was going to be the ping pong ball. So I am just going to write ping pong. In my very sloppy handwriting. That says ping pong. So then I just want you guys to answer the rest of the questions that we didn't answer. So that would be, there's 12 questions on the top part and 5 questions on the bottom part that still need to be answered. And then if you flip that sheet over, you have a whole nother sheet to do. So let's do number 2 for practicing momentum math. As you can see, I actually wrote the formula that we're going to be using up there. Momentum equals mass times velocity. P equals mv. And so number 2, a ball has 2 kilogram meters per second of momentum when thrown with a velocity of 8 meters per second outwards. Find the mass of the ball. So we know the momentum, so P equals 2 kilogram meters per second, right? And we know that the velocity equals 8 meters per second, and we are trying to find the mass, so mass is our unknown. If we start with the formula, P equals mv, and we want to get the mass by itself, we divide both sides by velocity. So ultimately our formula is mass is equal to momentum divided by velocity. So let's just plug in our numbers. So our momentum is 2 and our velocity is 8. So our mass is equal to 2 divided by 8 is 0.25 and mass is in kilograms. So it's 0.25 kilograms. That's number 2. So there's 5 problems. I did number 2. I'm going to have you guys do the other 4. So go ahead and finish the next 4 up. And then keep in mind that tomorrow will be the sort of the quiz, the assessment, just to see what we did, covering all 3 different Newton's laws. For those of you who maybe weren't here for the beginning of it, I have attached a study guide that has all of the laws in it and how to do all of the different kind of problems. So you will have that as a key, just to help everybody out. And then please fill out the feedback form. Tomorrow's the last day of this physics, and on Friday we will start talking a little bit about the solar system.